Welcome to the Scoop with Dukes. I'm your host, Philip Dukes, aka Dukes the Scoop. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Dukes the Scoop. And please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. This is an AU Scoop. All right, guys. There are a ton of people in Auburn that want Hugh Freeze to no longer be the coach at Auburn University. He has a lot of support, but I think the seat is unusually hot. And I think John Coyne still in interviews not really giving him that voter confidence. Still kind of gives pause when considering if Hugh Freeze will be the guy past this year. He started off 0-4 in the SEC, 3 straight years. The record isn't flattering at all in the SEC. The record versus ranked opponents is abysmal. The offense hasn't been what you thought it was going to be. But the roster is stocked with talent. He's recruited really well. Maybe some missteps when it comes to addressing the media. But overall, Hugh Freeze ain't been horrible. He hasn't been. And you can see where some people who like Hugh Freeze, why they are such staunch supporters. There are a lot of people according to my man Philip Marshall over at Auburn 24/7, there are a lot of people who have financial backing for the university, who have opinions that really matter, who would probably be responsible for the buyout. There are a lot of people who feel as if Hugh Freeze can still get it done. All right, so I want to preface this video just by saying this is in no way, shape, or form me endorsing or denouncing Hugh Freeze. I think the process is going to work out. I think like the only problem I ever had with Hugh Freeze was how he worded some stuff before, but Coach Freeze ain't never been bad to me. I met him a couple of times, good person. Even when I asked him questions in the press conference, always open. So I just ain't like how he handled the Damari situation at first, but he came out, walked it back. What can you say, right? But for those who don't want Coach Freeze, my question to you is, who do you get? Is it one of those things where you make a move just to make a move because you're tired of what's going on? Because that's what you did with Coach Malzahn, to be honest. Shout out to Coach. But at least with Coach Malzahn, you were having consistent winning seasons. Yes, maybe you didn't take the jump, but I'm pretty Toomer's Corner would have had way more traffic than it's had since in the last 5 years since he's been gone. If Coach Malzahn was still here, I I would have loved to have seen Coach Malzahn in the NIL era. Now, there were some things going on back in the day, and there were factions in the staff, and you know, Coach Steele and Garner and T. Will and all of these people. But could you imagine that staff, Garner, T. Will, and Steele, in the NIL era? Oh, that would have been crazy. I have no doubt Auburn would have been able to recruit at a high level. But people grew tired of Coach Malzahn, and that last season, the 6-4, 10 SEC only season where you go 6-4. In any other season, that's an 8-4 season. You go 6-4 in the SEC, that's 8-4. Well, people were tired. And so, but what we learned from that is different doesn't always mean better. You go out and you hire Brian Harsin, different, a known winner, offensive guy, no nonsense. Didn't work. Worked horribly. And I don't even think Brian Harsin is a bad person. As a matter of fact, I know he's not a bad person. So, and even some of the ways that, people, it was a lot of stuff that came out about Coach Harsin, but I know some coaches who know him, and he even volunteers for the Minority Coaching Association to help young coaches. Like he's a pretty cool guy. He just wasn't a fit for Auburn. Then you hire Hugh Freeze. Right now, you got recruiting kind of where you want it. The roster is where you want it. And now is how you deploy that talent. So if you make a move, you got to make the right one. You got to find a solid recruiter, somebody who knows the landscape, somebody because what Coach Freeze came in here and did as far as recruiting was amazing. First thing he did when he got here was to go around to all of the high schools where he had commits. But he started in the state of Alabama, and then he spread out. And, I met him at his initial visit to Langston Hughes as an Auburn coach. I was there. Man, he sold it, dog. He did a great job. If he had more time, I think a lot of that goes different. But who do you get? So what I did was when I look at the jobs that are available now, LSU probably being number one, Florida being number two. If Auburn came open, would you put Auburn 3 over Penn State? In the Southeast, absolutely. I would say they're kind of similar, right? Because as Big Ten jobs go, I think you got to go Ohio State, Oregon, then maybe Penn State. I would venture to say SEC, after the Bamas, the LSU's, all Georgia. Say Auburn is kind of like that high level second tier job in the SEC. It's a tough job. You look at your rivals, who you're recruiting against perennially. Uh, Tough job, but if you get it right, the proximity to Atlanta, you got a major airport about an hour away. The recruiting landscape, you got Columbus, Mobile, Montgomery, Atlanta, Florida. There was formerly a pipeline to Fort Lauderdale and Dillard. Like there's so much you can go do in Auburn. So let's not make it seem like it's the worst job in the world. It's a good job, a really good job. And if you play your cards right, you'll get the financial backings of the people who matter. Yellowwood. Everybody loves to say Yellowwood, right? Shout out to Jimmy Ryan. So let's say the carousel stays as it is, and you don't get a job bigger than LSU. Some people think Sark is going to the NFL. If Texas comes open, all of this changes. But as of now, this is Florida's hot board. Lane Kiffin number one, right? And I'm definitely putting Auburn over the Ole Miss job. So that could come open. Lane Kiffin number one right now for Florida. I don't think there's any way, even if you pay him $15 million, I don't think Lane comes to Auburn. I just think the way he handled the situation last time is kind of like, all right, if he was going to come to Auburn, he would have already been at Auburn. All right, they have Marcus Freeman number 2 on their list, and this is a hot board from 5 days ago. So, even in the article it says that this is on Swamp 24/7. Even in the article it says that they heard that Florida reached out and Marcus. Let me see. It says they're talking about Marcus Freeman. Rumors have circulated that Florida reached out to Freeman and that the program's interest was rejected. No sources have confirmed to Swamp 247 that such a conversation occurred. Marcus Freeman, no, I don't. I wouldn't think. Now, this is a guy who I think would definitely have interest in the Auburn job. Eli Drinkwitz. Now, right now, they have him in the second tier for the Florida job. With Kiffin so high, this is from Swamp 247. Actually, let me see who wrote this. Zach Goodall. Zach Goodall. Shout out to Zach. All right, this is what he has to say about Eli Drinkwitz. With Kiffin so high on Florida's board, Swamp 247 envisions Drinkwitz as a potential backup plan for Florida as things stand. However, it's currently unclear where Florida's athletic department stands on Drinkwitz. Missouri offensive coordinator Kirby Moore, whose contract expires after this season, has been crucial to the Tigers' success. There is a belief that if Moore leaves for a head coaching opportunity, Drinkwitz could be more inclined to look elsewhere. All right. On a Wednesday appearance on the Paul Feinbaum show, Drinkwitz downplayed his name externally coming up in various coaching searches, saying the reality is for me, we addressed it as a team. No, let me word that more clearly. The reality is for me, we addressed it as a team, we addressed it as a staff. All that stuff is all fake right now. We have an opportunity in front of us that doesn't come often very often. That doesn't come very often at the University of Missouri. And I'll be damned if I let distractions or outside noise or people try to influence that through social media, which by the way isn't real. There is no candidacy list. I don't care what's on 247. There is no people calling. What really matters for us right now is having the best winning Wednesday practice that we can have to take advantage. All right. Does that sound like a pine box speech? I don't know. Currently getting 9 million. He's getting paid well. He's getting paid well. This is what now. This is why they think that Drinkwitz would be a good coach candidate. It took a few years to get things rolling, but Drinkwitz has elevated Missouri football to arguably its best run in team history. With the Tigers 6-1 this season and aspiring for their third consecutive 10-plus win campaign, the program had only 6 such years before his 2020 hiring. He led App State to a 12-1 record in his lone season. Drinkwitz is one of several former play callers across college football to have handed those duties off in favor of a true CEO leadership approach, which should appeal to Florida. That would appeal to Auburn as well. His recruiting classes have been up and down in a vacuum. It's worth considering Missouri is not necessarily a destination program. Yet his results have improved over time. The Tigers finished with the number 14 high school class and a number 7 transfer hall. Now, he's only 7-3 against top 25 opponents, but he's 5-6 over the top 25 over the last 2.5 seasons. All right. Not shy in front of a camera. Is Drinkwitz your guy? Do you feel like it's worth it to can Coach Freeze as soon as possible to get in line for Eli Drinkwitz? Eli Drinkwitz was on the, I believe he was on the 2010 staff. Got great relationships in Auburn. He's got some former Auburn coaches on staff. Shout out to Curtis Looper. So he's got some familiarity in Auburn. But is this the guy that you say, you know what? Get rid of Freeze now. We got to go get him. Okay. So that's Drinkwitz. James Franklin. Now, I've heard some guys who think that James Franklin is going to get the Auburn job. Swamp 247 has heard from multiple sources that Franklin is interested in Florida's coaching vacancy and believes it is currently the best job on the market. Yet at the same time, Franklin realizes Lane Kiffin is likely UF's number 1 target at this point. If Kiffin were to stay at Ole Miss or take another opening, that could open the door for Franklin to push for the job more aggressively. Okay. Arguably one of the most successful regular season coaches in college football right now. Won 10 or more games in 6 of his full 11 seasons. Okay. A fairly accomplished recruiter. 2 number 6 classes and 7 within the top 15 since 2018. 24-15 record at Vandy. All right. Now, this is why here's the concern for Franklin. He went 4-21 against top 10 opponents. 4-21. Okay. Now they got Lincoln Riley on this list. I'm not gonna go. I mean, do you want to get in line for James Franklin? Do you feel like it's important right now to let Hugh Freeze go and get in line for James? Did I say Kirk Franklin? To get in line for James Franklin. Okay. Lincoln Riley, I think there's no shot. Jed Fish, the Washington head coach, he's got tied to the University of Florida. Maybe that's why he's a candidate. I don't think Auburn goes to the Pacific Northwest again for a head coach. Um, Career record 28-31. Graduated from Florida. Uh, Significant experience as an offensive coordinator. I just don't see them going after Jed Fish. Here's an interesting one. Glenn Schumann. Shout out to Shu, Georgia defensive coordinator. Is he the guy? No head coaching experience, making $2 million as a coordinator. This is why they say he would fit the Florida job. Now he's kind of down the list at this point, but this is why they say he would fit. And I'm just taking some of these and saying, okay, how would this fit in Auburn? If Florida were to look for an up-and-comer and hire a first-time head coach, Schumann would likely top the list. He has been rumored as a potential candidate for other major jobs in the past, but stuck with Georgia as his lone D coordinator after joining the Bulldogs as an inside linebackers coach in 2016. UGA has consistently fielded a top half defense among SEC programs under Schumann's lead the last 2 seasons and boasted the league's top unit the 2 years prior when he split the coordinator title with Muschamp and T-Rob. Shout out to T-Rob. Schumann has been credited as the primary recruiter of 7 247 Sports 5-star prospects during his time with UGA. Their risk, can you afford to risk hiring a head coach without any experience in the role? Is Schumann the next Dan Lanning? Could Coach Shu be the answer at Auburn? What I do know is Coach Schumann, the kids love him. They love Shu. I talked to multiple guys he's recruited. They love Shu, and Shu teaches ball. Georgia's defense doesn't go the way it does without Shu. He is like a computer. Do you let Coach Freeze go right now to get in line for Glenn Schumann? I don't know. I think that's an interesting candidate if this job becomes open. But I'm not sure. It's like, okay, we got to rush to get in line. Like, we need to not give Coach Freeze a chance to see if he can figure it out so you can get in line for another coach. Because that's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. When you see these guys, a 5-3 Brian Kelly getting fired is basically an attempt to get ahead of the next coaching candidate. To say, hey, Lane, how about LSU? But you got to, we can't let you get too far in negotiations with Florida. Okay. All right. They got Will Stein on here, the OC at Oregon. I don't see that one. Blake Baker, DC at LSU. I don't see that one. If you're going to go with a DC, you got to go with Coach Durkin, who I'll get to in a minute. Here are some names that we've also heard. Do you want to get rid of Freeze to go get Brent Key? Ain't no star at Georgia Tech. Top 10 ranking. Kenny Dillingham, former OC. Go to the playoffs last year. 6-2 this year. Is it Dillingham? Alex Golish. Love that offense. They beat somebody big almost every year. Play Alabama tough. Do you want to go group of 5? And if you go group of 5, why not John Summerall? Some people feel like he's the leader for the LSU job now. What? I think everybody's in love with John Summerall right now, right? Young guy played backer at Kentucky. Really, really cool demeanor. Looks like he has can't miss prospect all over him. Jeff Brom, Louisville head coach. 24-9 over the last 3 seasons. And then went 66-44 at Western Kentucky and Purdue. Beat a number 2 Miami team this year. Louisville always finds a way to upset somebody in the ACC. Rhett Lashley, another former Auburn coordinator. 34-14 at SMU. I think he may be one of the leading candidates for the Arkansas job. Of all those names, does anybody strike the type of excitement that you say you got to get rid of Coach Freeze right now? I don't think so. I don't think you got to do it now to get in line for any of these guys. I don't think anyone, I think outside of Coach Kiffin, outside of Lane, who you probably wouldn't get anyway, I don't feel like there's a major difference in these candidates. None stands out like, oh my goodness, can't miss guy. What Lane Kiffin has done at Ole Miss kind of can't miss. He's done it too many times. It feels like he has it going. Outside of that, whether it's James Franklin, I think James Franklin would be a pretty good. I would love to get 9 to 10 wins at Auburn, and put the rest on Jordan Hare. Penn State definitely whooped Auburn the last couple times they played. So, well, the one up in Happy Valley wasn't as bad, but the last time we saw Penn State and Jordan Hare, So who drop in the comments? Who would you get? Do you think it's feasible to get rid of Coach Freeze right now? Oh, before we get there, why not DJ Durkin? Now I know he has some baggage, and when you dig into the case, and I don't want to disrespect anybody who's lost anybody, but of course, there's this baggage of, there was a player deceased under his watch while at the University of Maryland, while he was the head coach. He's rebuilt his career. Now, I don't know this to be 1,000% true, but from people that I've talked to, they say that he wasn't there at the time. It's not like he was running this guy and he fell out, but they do say the culture at Maryland was the cause. But if you talk about football, hey man, the way this defense is playing, I tell you what, whoever gets this head coaching job, you would hope that they would keep DJ Durkin as defensive coordinator with the job that he's done. But do you give him a chance to rehabilitate his perception as the head coach of Auburn University? Is it too much baggage? I don't know, but man, what he's done on the field, I met Coach Durkin last year. I didn't get a bad feeling from him, but no nonsense guy, really cares about defense, and he's going to give everybody a chance to play. Now, that's one thing about it. If you love football, and that's his thing, if you love ball, this is the coach for you. If you're a football junkie, that's what he loves. You could be the most talented guy, but if he doesn't feel like you love ball, you won't play for Coach Durkin. You got to love ball to play for him. So is Coach Durkin your guy? Drop in the comments of all these guys I listed. Oh, Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. I would like Clark Lee, to be honest, if it came to that. I think Clark Lee would do a good job. Very forward-thinking coach. He's done a great job. But also, you got to ask yourself, is his success tied to the miracle worker, Diego Pavia? I think that's a valid question. So drop in the comments who you think. Well, actually, let's ask it this way. Who do you think should be next year's coach at Auburn University? Coach Freeze or one of the guys listed? I think if Coach Freeze goes 6-6 and beats Bama in that 6, or no, I think you got to go. I don't think anything happens unless he gets blown out against Kentucky or loses to Mercer. When you beat Kentucky, you beat Mercer, and win Vandy. You go 3-1. I think he get. I think if he goes 3-1 over these next 4 games, I think he's your coach next year. You go 2-2, depending on who the losses are to. You go 2-2 with a Bama victory. You can see people be a prisoner of the moment and say, all right, we'll give you one more shot since you beat Bama. And you win a bowl game. I don't think you can go 1-3 and keep the job. So if that happens, or it doesn't happen, no matter how this shakes out, my question is, who would you even get? Might as well let them rock out the rest of the year. All right, that's my time, folks. Thank y'all, man. Drop your thoughts and your feelings in the comments. Appreciate it.